Hi guys, welcome to the video on major bar chords, which is essentially where we're moving the F bar chord higher up the fretboard to play any chord on guitar. And this is any major chord for now, but it's a very similar principle to be able to play the minor chords basically. So this is a reminder of the big, bad, full F bar chord. And the first example is going to be where we move this bar chord up 2 frets and we're therefore playing a G major chord. Now we can also play a G major chord as the open, kind of standard open chord. You can hear it sounds the same, but there are different what we call chord tones in there. There are different notes, very slightly. Some are the same, but some are obviously different because we're fretting notes where once they were open. But the idea of this is we could take the same chord shape, move it up a fret, and we're playing a G sharp major chord. We could take it up again and play an A, full A major, which is a higher voicing, we call it, because we're using notes that are higher up. A sharp major, also known as B flat. So a B flat major chord, because this note is A sharp and also B flat. And the same thing kind of goes from there. What I just want to make sure quickly in this video is that you know this principle so you can work out what chord you're playing, and also a few tips to make sure your strings are still ringing out when we move higher up the neck. So top 5 tips again. First tip is know your root notes. In the previous lesson, I taught you through the 6 key tones to memorize G, A, B, and then C, D, and E to be able to work out all the notes on the thickest 2 strings. And you should also be very confident now with the notes on string 6, even just from my beginner's course, kind of level 6 of my beginner's course is where we covered that. So, you know, the example of going from A at 5th fret, so 5th fret bar chord, first finger, barring at the 5th fret, I'm playing the F chord shape but higher up. You're playing an A, move it up 1, we get an A sharp, 1 again at 7th fret and we get a B. There is no B sharp, so the next one is a C. And from here it starts to get very kind of, rather than being a stretch, everything's very close together and it can be hard to get the necessary pressure down to put it down. So the next key point is think about these bar chords as adding notes to the power chords that we learned earlier. So the G power chord, the A power chord, you're adding your middle finger down and you're flattening the lower part of your first finger here so that each string rings out. So this would be an A power chord first of all, just the thicker strings, A major chord there. The next top tip is remember, still use the side of your first finger, and we need a gap between the first finger and the other 3. First finger has the gap and then the other 3 fingers are more together like this, and when we move it up, that gap is still there, but we have to bunch these fingers up even more and have, for example, the 3rd finger on top of the little finger, middle finger right over that side of the fret, first finger here, thumb directly behind. Hopefully you can see the thumb from both angles there. And that's the kind of idea. Remember, you're bending at the knuckle. Your first finger is pretty straight, and the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger are as much on the tips as is possible. Tip number 4, again, is a tip for changing chord, and just pick 2 chords at a time to really get this most common change, which is by 2 frets. So for example, G and A often happen in the same song. I think this is a bit of Man on the Moon, by REM. That's a really common change. G to the A, just changing from one to the next and getting used to that before trying to, that's a much better exercise than just changing between random ones. You could also, for example, just pick the dots or just pick the spaces and then change between each of those. So G to an A, to a B, to the C sharp. You're covering most of the neck there, and you're just keeping your first finger and the third and little one on the dots as you move up, so it's nice and visual for you. You're just treating it as a physical exercise. Remember, each of the second and third finger has to be on the tip for everything to ring out as well as it can, and you may wish to consider moving your first finger up slightly if the lines are over the strings there. Final top tip, as I say, stay on the tips. Tip of the finger, tip of the finger, tip of the finger, and it will all ring out nicely. So the play along track that accompanies this lesson is just changing between the major bar chords G, A, and B. And we're going to be using this down, down, up, up, down in the fashion that I've just showed you there. We're going to do 2 bars of each. So this would be, for example, and then we change, and change, and back. And we're only going to do that twice because that should already be quite the kind of taxing on your hands. You can hear there's a slight pause when I change chords because I'm relaxing, which will pretty much always happen with bar chords, and that doesn't have to happen with power chords is the final kind of tip. But have a quick play through that. A great song example is All Along the Watchtower, either the Jimi Hendrix version or the Bob Dylan version. Either of those is great to work out your major bar chords. And we're going to be looking at how to play the minor chords, so we can play absolutely any chord on guitar in one of the upcoming videos. I will see you there, but make sure you play along to that backing track to work out your major chords.